Hi, everybody. I'm Ginny Schuster with Ginny Panur, and the name of my series is Who Do You Know? And today I have Cymber on. I am so excited to have her on. We met through LinkedIn and have had a great chat. As I learn about her business, she's been in business for 30 years and has a very interesting story on intuition. I was reading, and I'm all about intuition, but you can't always make money that way, which is something that she's learned, and she's going to share with us how you take it to the next level. So, good morning, Cymber. How are you today?
Good morning, Jenny. I'm doing great, and thank you so much for inviting me on the show. It's a delight to be here.
Oh, it is so fun. So, give us some of your background. I love to hear people's story on how they got into business.
Wow. I started my career as a journalist. I worked for newspapers and magazines, and then quickly realized that I was not that deadline driven. You know, when I worked at a daily paper in Indianapolis, we had 7 deadlines every day, and that was just a bit too much for me. And quickly got myself into marketing and working for agencies, and really loved hearing the story of the business and hearing the story of the customer, and then translating the business story into something that the customer could understand and want and need, and connecting them together. So I started in high tech. I lived in California. I was there for the whole dot-com thing, which was so much fun. Oh my gosh. You know, I started working with big companies that people recognize, like Hewlett Packard and IBM and Apple. But then as people left those companies and started their own little startups, often they would take me with them. And so I got to work with lots of little startups, hear these people's dreams. And that was the thing that really attracted me the most, was, you know, people sitting around the kitchen table late at night, lots of coffee, saying, how are we going to make this happen? How are we going to turn this idea? I've got a gut instinct that this is going to work, or I've got an intuitive thought that this is going to work. How are we going to make this work? And I loved interviewing them and then capturing their ideas and turning it into sales material and presentations and business strategies and all of that stuff. It was really, really fun. And then I got sick and had to take some time off to heal myself and to recover. And in that process, that's when I went back to my first love, which is music. And I learned to play healing harp. And so I played for myself initially, and then I started playing for other people. And because I'm just a compulsive business builder, I started a studio and I started teaching other people how to do this as well. And when COVID hit, my studio took a hit as well. And so I thought, well, it's time to bring out the business side of me again. It's time to help all these other businesses who are suffering through COVID the same way I am, how to reach audiences that they've never reached before. And so kind of combined my musical background, which conducting in music, with my ability to help people understand what they're doing and how they're doing it, and turn it into profits. And so that's how I created Conducting Your Purpose into Pitch Perfect Profits.
I love it. I don't know any people who play the harp.
Yeah, I usually, when I introduce myself, I say, hi, I play the harp, and then I stop, because no one has ever met a harpist before that I know
Oh,
of.
how did you get into it?
Well, I grew up in a musical family. My grandmother was the church organist and pianist. My parents were singers, and they took us regularly to music. And one day they took us to hear the symphony, and the harpist had a solo. And she played something that was so transformative for me. I could feel it on my skin. It was like I could taste the music. It was so powerful. And I looked at my parents and I said, that's what I want to do. But
Oh,
I did play for a little bit, but I didn't stick with it. And I left music for 27 years. And then when I got sick, I was working with an energy worker or a Reiki master, and she said, and this is my message I want to give your listeners today, is to go back to your childhood and find the thing that gave you joy and do that. And for me, I didn't know what that was at first. And then I had a moment This is now about 15 years ago, where I opened a Christmas catalog. There was a picture of a harp, and I had this moment where I remembered this whole story I just told you about being 6. And I'm like, oh, I'm a grown up. I learned piano, and there's no one to stop me now.
Isn't that so true? You talk about intuitive. When you're on the right track, it seems as though more and more doors open for you.
That's right. And Joseph Campbell would say, when you're on the right track, doors will open for you that will open for no one else. And so you have to be on the lookout for that.
True.
Yeah.
How do you work with your clients to build the business that they don't realize that they need to set up in a certain way? And what is that certain way?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So it's really 4 steps that I teach people. I try to keep it really simple. So the first step is to develop what I call a conductor's mindset. That you want to be the conductor of your own business. You want to be the conductor of everything that's going on. You become the leader of your business. And so you have to get yourself into a leadership mindset. And that means being self-reliant, so that you're trusting your own gut that you're going the right way. It means that you have to be selfless. You have to be willing to give to the people that you love, and um, and you need to be really, really clear that your idea is yours and that it's coming from within you. It's not something that somebody told you you should do, but that it's something that you're really developing from within you. And then the next thing, you need to really understand time management and organization, because the intuition definitely will tell you, okay, do this now. Now do this. Now do this. But in
Yeah.
business, business runs on systems, and so you need to understand how to automate that gut feeling so that it shows up when you need it, but that you have your schedule set out, that you have little mini goals that you're meeting every day that are helping you move the business forward. And so I teach the tools, and I work with each person individually because everybody's got a different sense of how time works for them. There are different ways of doing it, but you need to have that because the intuition, it shows up infrequently, and business runs on a clock. So we need to understand that business runs on a clock.
Does. Yeah.
Yeah. Then the third thing I work with them after we kind of really have set the mindset and set the tools in place for time management and organization is to actually build the roadmap. How are we going to get, what are your goals? How are we going to get from here to there? So we're here, we're at the kitchen table, we've got the coffee, we're really excited. This is super cool. Wow, I can just see this being so successful. How are we going to get from here to there? You want to drive from here to California? Are you just going to get in your car and like bushwhack across? No, there are roads that are already right. You could, but you're going to tear up your car. You're not going to make it. It's going to be a really uncomfortable trip and possibly very expensive. And you might make stops along the way that you didn't intend. And so we're going to build a roadmap that fits you, that fits your style, it fits your intuition. If you're a blue roads driver, you like to take the back roads and you don't mind it taking a little bit longer and it's more beautiful, great. We're going to set up your roadmap that's going to look like that. If you're more like me, I'm a foot on the gas girl. I want the interstate because I want to get to there now. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to help someone build a roadmap that's got that kind of quality to it. And then there are checkpoints along the way in the roadmap. So, be sure and stop here, be sure and stop here, check this along the way. And then when you get to the next goal, then we'll stop and we'll check and we'll rebuild the roadmap. Okay, well, I made it to San Francisco. Now I want to go to LA. So don't keep driving west. It's going to be awfully wet. Redevelop the plan and say, okay, yeah, how has it changed? Have your perfect customers changed? And they will. Who you're serving changes as your business changes. And maybe just slight adjustments, but we've heard this metaphor, and it's totally true. You can turn just a little bit, but as you keep traveling off this way, you're going to get further and further out. But that first tiny little turn can look so tiny, it's almost like, why bother? But bother, do bother, because it's going to take you, as you travel further down the road, it's going to take you further in a different direction, and I'm going to help make sure that's the direction you really want to go in. So that's the third step, is building that roadmap. And then the fourth step is so important in business in general, is to make your existing customers happy. Because I
Mhm.
know Ginny, that it's 90% of your expense is bringing in a new customer, and 10% to keep a customer happy. So I call that the encore. Encore, encore. How do you keep doing encores and keeping those customers loving your music and coming back to your show? And so we talk about serving those customers first, not last. Just because they're there doesn't mean that they're not as important. In fact, they're more important. And really taking care,
Right.
loving them up,
Yeah.
and giving them special stuff. And the last thing I
Yeah.
would say in that category, and this comes from a woman that I worked with out in California, she said, be a pleasure to work with. So,
Oh, how nice.
so I don't do all of this myself. I'm the conductor of my own business. And so I have different
Hmm.
sections, different parts, different people that play different parts in my own business orchestra, if you will. Like, as the conductor, I can't play the clarinets and the bassoons and the basses and the French horns of the right. My job is to conduct all of them into something that is harmonious and melodious, and everybody enjoys. It's a win-win for everybody.
I love it. It's, that comes back to who do you know? It's about the connections and relationships that you're building over time, more doors that open for you.
That's right, Jenny. Yeah, you said
Yeah.
it.
So, Cymber, I really appreciate all this great information. I think the hard part for an awful lot of people is they discount the value that they bring to life, meaning that someone such as yourself, an outsider who can give so much value to them and get them to look and see things that they don't see, that it's worth finding someone like you. And so I just want to put out there, I hope that people will comment, they'll like, they'll subscribe to Who Do You Know? Because Cymber, this is super information. And how can people get a hold of you?
Oh, the easiest way to reach me is through LinkedIn, Cymber Lily Quinn. And yeah, that's the easiest place to find me. I'm there. Or if you're interested in my harp music, or you can't find me on LinkedIn, you can just go to my harp page and find me that way. That's cymber.com, and download some free relaxing music that you can use while you're developing your business plan or your time management uh, plans or whatever. But that's the easiest way to reach me. And I would be delighted to talk with anyone out there who is thinking, I've got this idea, and when I sit down and think about how to do it, all of a sudden I feel overwhelmed. The list gets really long. I don't know how to prioritize, or I'm afraid I'm going to lose contact with my family because I'm working a bazillion hours. All those fears, they can be managed and dealt with so that you can have the successful business while you have the balance and all of that richness of your life.
Oh, you're so right. And get over that fear. And the way you get over that fear is by reaching out to someone like Cymber.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you, Cymber, so much. I really enjoyed it. And I'm sure our listeners will enjoy it too, hearing all this great information about getting into your own business. If you're a little bit lost and you need a little path, contact Cymber. And if you don't want to contact her, contact me and I'll turn you over to her.
Oh, you're so sweet, Jenny. Oh, thank you for those kind words. I really appreciate it.
Oh, that's cool. So fun. Thank you for today.
Thank you.